Hello, everyone, and welcome to AC Publishing. My name is Laleh Hancock, and today I have one of our amazing writers, Julie Tuton. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Laleh. Hello, everybody.
You know, we have the books that create change, and I've had the great pleasure of interviewing our authors. And, there's something very special about this particular book. I actually got to read this book. It was like one of the earlier ones when I first found the Tools of Access Consciousness and AC Publishing. And, my whole life I had, breakups that were like different than others. And I was so grateful to find your book, Julie. Do you want to show them your new cover of this book?
The happy heart
Yeah,
with a
it's
little drippiness.
it is beautiful. Do you want to give a little more information about that cover? And I know you designed it and you painted it.
Yes, actually, when the first time I published the book, um, it was it was a ocean crashing, and I was just trying to be, a little bit dramatic, and the idea of a breakup being this tumultuous thing, but that it can calm the waters. And when I was doing the second edition, I kept thinking about how this might be more of an invitation to people, because some people weren't really getting the, the rocky waters. So yes, I painted this a long time ago. And when I was mocking up the cover, I just pulled this piece and it just worked. It spoke
Yeah.
to the energy of the book, the kindness of it, the softness, and I guess healing your heart, because that's so important. So many people carry forward that hurt energy and it hurts you.
Yeah. What inspired you? I mean, I know when most people think about a breakup, the word beauty is not usually the first thing that comes to mind. For some, it might actually, for some it might. And so I know you were married for a very long time. And do you want to talk about your story of like what first inspired you to put this book together?
Well, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, really nudged and was like, get to work, write the book, because he witnessed the difference that we were being in our breakup. And it was really, it was my choice. And every time things got heavy or difficult, I reached for the tools to make it easier, because I like ease. I prioritize ease. And it worked. And so he said, people need to know about this. So get to work and write the book.
So when you started to write the book, like I was rereading it because it had been many years since I'd read the book. And, the way that you actually start is starting to talk about where are you? Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, how many of us had no concept of ourselves in relationship to our partners? I know for me, I gave myself up at the drop of a hat. And so when you're further down the path of a relationship, it's like when things aren't working, you have to start to get clear on who you are and what you would like, so that you can start to move in that direction. So you have to take, what do you call it? Take inventory of what
Yeah.
you would like and get clear, and then you can chart your path.
Yeah. I know over the years, how long have you had the book out there? Like how many years ago did you originally?
I think it was 2016 when it was first published.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years. Congratulations. A whole decade out there.
I know it's interesting. And every once in a while, I see these messages from people like, "Oh my gosh, this book totally changed everything for me."
Yeah.
Random people I that had no exposure to access consciousness before, and I don't even know if they chose further. But the fact that it changed their upset and their trauma and drama to ease and clarity, that was really key. And then they gave it to their ex-husband and they gave it to their daughter, and the fact that it can change people's lives that easily. I mean, it's not a very thick book. I also I also ordered a couple of copies on Amazon that were used, and there are places to write things in the book to like to jot down your thoughts, and they had underlined things and they had written down things, and I just thought it was so cool to see that they were actually going through the steps and making those choices, because that's what it takes. You have to use the tools to build something different.
Yeah. And even Andrea here says, thank you, ladies, for this invitation. And it really is an invitation to something no one really teaches you. Like growing up, no one talks to you about how to handle difficult situations, to even handle a breakup, and a lot of times we're creating very similar patterns than maybe how our parents handled situations. But even like the next step in the book is like, what is a conscious choice? And can you talk a little bit more about that? Because it really is the willingness to want to explore something different than
Yeah.
what everyone else is doing.
Most people are trying to do the right thing and be good, you know, and not choose the wrong thing. And when you have this idea that staying together is right and breaking up is wrong, you are left in a position where you do not have choice. So we have to come out of the judgment of the rightness or wrongness of things so that we can actually have our true choice.
Yeah. And true choice is not an answer either. You know what I mean? Like true choice is really starts to open the doors to exploring, like you said at the beginning, where are you? And starting to learn more about yourself and what is that future you actually desire to create.
Yeah, because there are people who've used the tools in this book and created their relationship greater together. And then there are those who end up creating separation. And it's really not an answer. This book is more about what would it be like to include you and not divorce you, to be in any of the relationships that you're in.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things about your book that for me goes wider, it's not just a husband and wife or a boyfriend girlfriend situation. Like if you really look at the tools and the messages that you're bringing forward, it's knowing when it's time for you to change your career,
Mm.
or even moments of knowing, hey, this doesn't work with my kids anymore, and we've got to create something different to allow it to work. And sometimes you have to break something, you have to, change something so dramatically to be able to create something different. So for me, it's not only as most would think like a breakup of a divorce, but actually break up that situation
Mhm.
and really ask what else is available I've never considered before.
Exactly. Yes. And like every single choice we make changes everything around us, kind of like the kaleidoscope. When you turn the kaleidoscope, all the pieces come together to create a different image. And even changing your physical things, clearing out things in your home that no longer work for you. It doesn't mean that you hate them or dislike them, but it's like, do they still bring you joy? And it's fine to have things change. And it's wonderful to find new pieces that light you up in a different way. So the willingness to look at everything in your life, what actually is pleasing, what actually is contributing, what actually would be fun to have and be around, and curating your life, including your friendships, including where you work, including your home, your silverware and your china and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned it earlier, like there's also a whole section here in the book of exercise that kind of gets you to start to really explore like something new, like even what do you desire in a partner, starting to look at what works for you and what are the elements of what you'd like to add to your life too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when I look back, all the relationships that I had were people that were interested in me. And so I was being reactive and in choosing them instead of what would I actually like to choose? What would be a contribution in my life? And
Yeah.
I find it really interesting. I wonder if people look at that. Are they always being chosen, or are they actually using their ability to choose?
It's so interesting. I think everyone who's dating should read your book. you know, like I look at the dating apps and I'm like, like it really is. What you just described is like so much of today's dating apps too. Like most aren't really looking for what they really desire. It's more of like who is choosing them.
Mhm.
And even
Yeah.
like I mean, I don't know. I think your book is so multifaceted. Like, even if you're looking for a new job or a new career or something, even like finding a new place you like to live, because so often we don't realize we have all these attachments to where we are or who we're with. But when you start to break that and then really start to ask questions, like there's a whole new world that becomes available.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's, without defining it too much, there are awarenesses of certain energies
Yeah.
that work for you or that expand you. And you can ask for those, and they can show up in a lot of different ways if you don't define it too much. And that's part of the exercises in the book, is to get you to get your own clarity, because you know what is going to motivate you, you know what is going to add to your life. And if you get clear on that, you can ask for it and it'll show up.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm so excited about Julie and this book, and the new cover for me just invited a different energy in the book. It's like the new 2025, 2026 energies of what's really possible. So even if you guys have a copy, I wonder what the new cover can contribute to you. And you guys can find it at acpublishing.com. We'll put a link in Facebook as well as on YouTube. It'll be there for you guys. And I wonder also like who it might contribute to. Because one of the things about the books, I always found that if there's a book that I really enjoy, it's one that I love being an Uber for and taking it to other people. So, it could be a great present for someone else as well to really assist them in whatever change they have going on in their lives.
Yes, and I made this for everyone so that whether you've heard of access consciousness or not, it's very simple and clear that you can use the tools. And it can be given to anybody. One of my friends gives it to people who are getting married, brides to be, so that they don't lose themselves in their
Yeah.
relationship. It sometimes puts a little bit of fear in their spouse, which is not a bad thing.
It keeps that, je ne sais quoi, keep going, right?
Exactly. Gotta keep them on their toes. And
Well, yeah.
yeah, and, beauty, like, what if whatever you're choosing can be a beautiful possibility?
Yeah. And like you said, I think sometimes also when a relationship has just continued really not being created, not really explored, does hit certain moments that people may consider that breakup. But the tools here, what can it also contribute to creating something new with your loved ones? And like you said earlier, how many are actually also shifting and changing their relationships to actually create with them instead of, we're kind of married, been married for a long time, or we've been together for a long time and then not really creating.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I love that term creationship, so that
Yeah.
you can create it new every day.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Julie, for being here. Thank you for the willingness to be different and create a different breakup for your own situation. And then being willing to bring those tools out so others also have that available. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm glad that, it's something that people can talk about now. Because back then, it was something that you keep really, really hidden,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, everyone. And if you guys have any questions, you can go to acpublishing.com. We have also Facebook and social media, Instagram and YouTube. Let us know. Read the book and tell us, how did it work for you? We love to hear these stories of change and the aha moments of, the tools. So let us know. Thank you so much, you guys.
thanks.
Bye bye.